This strategy has never had a losing trade on target since 2006. That includes the great financial crash in 2008 and the COVID crash of 2020. It's also had a great record on Pepsi. It made us avoid the unexpected crash in 2023 and identified a really good entry point in 2024. It's been pretty good on Exxon too. We've had 8 profitable swing trades and only 1 break even. That's the yellow triangle. It has a great record with quality dividend stocks. Here's Realty Income. Again, no losing trades. Of course, it's not always good. Here's the UK giant retailer Sainsbury's. The stock price has really been languishing in a kind of long-term downtrend since 2008. In all that time, though, we've only had 1 loss-making trade, the red triangle here. According to the expectancy calculation, though, we would still have made a profit. So we would have made an average of 7.43% on every trade, including this loss here of nearly 23%. So what is this strategy? We need to look for a stock making one of these oversold signals. A 52-week low, a 50-day low, or a Williams percent range reading of less than -90. I've made a video about this. Finally, a large gap down of between 3 and 15%. So when one of these signals appears, we set an alert for 20% below the signal price. So that's the price of each of these. And we don't yet buy the stock. If our alert is triggered within 1 year, then we buy the stock. We then set a profit target of between 5 and 10%. So stock picking is really important with this strategy. So it works a lot better with quality stocks or ETFs. They should be in a very long-term uptrend. However, as you've seen, it was profitable even with Sainsbury's when it was in a very long-term downtrend. It's best to avoid cyclicals or very unpredictable sectors, e.g. natural gas. A bit later I'll show an example of this. And no penny stocks or small caps. I've not done a great deal of research on these. And I've no idea if this works on crypto either. And it's probably best to avoid exotic stuff as well. I'll show you a few quick examples. They're from my website btfdbot.com, and I've just built in the indicator onto this. So if you go to BTFDbot, you can find my backtesting results on this Super Oversold indicator. There's a whole load of stocks on there, but you just need to go to the website and then click through to one of the charts and then click on this Super Oversold here. So this is Palantir. I don't really recommend using this strategy on growth stocks like this, but it does seem to have a very good record, so it's never had a losing trade on Palantir. Let's look at another one, random. Let's try Owens Corning. I just had a profitable one on this actually. So it's had a pretty good record. This one's not yet profitable, but it's a work in progress. You can see the expectancy here, so overall we would have made money from this strategy. And I'll do one more. Otis. Otis hasn't been around for very long. Let's see. Okay, so we've only had one, but what a perfect place to buy. That was in February 2022. I've also built my own backtester from scratch using C# and SQL Server, and these are the results of putting this strategy into the backtester. So this buys and sells stocks in my database, and it kind of simulates what you would do in real-world swing trading. So from 2010 to the present day, the red line here is the backtest results, and we've done pretty well, really. So we've easily beaten the UK FTSE 100 and the FTSE 250. We've also apparently beaten the S&P 500. We haven't beaten the Nasdaq, but then we're not really trading growth stocks so much. Incidentally, the results of backtester were 82% of the trades were profitable, 8% were break-even, and 10% were loss-making. So even with the losses, we've still done okay. I have found my backtester gives variable results, but it is very useful at finding out some of the losers and working out how we could avoid the losing trades. That really is key to making a stellar performance with this strategy. Here's an example of a massive loss. I think we lost 60% on this one. This is PG&E, electricity utility company. So I think the backtester bought about here. This is on fast graphs, by the way. It's good to visualize it. And then it really dumped. I think it really dumped because of the California wildfires. They were found liable or something happened. So I think it went from just under $60 to probably less than 10. So this is a kind of extreme example. And it's quite rare to find one of these that you can't really avoid. Most of the other losers are kind of avoidable. Here's some more losses my backtester found. So this is CMC Markets, some kind of UK financial company, and it bought here, so it lost 65% on this one. And I think really this had a bit of a bubble look to it, so I would be a bit wary of buying this one in real life. Interestingly though, the expectancy is still positive, so if I started in 2016 and bought every single super oversold signal, I would still be profitable, even with this hideous loss here. This is because all the others are profitable at 10%, so we would still have made money. And this stock is quite a rare one. Most will make a lot more than that. Okay, this is a rare example of one that is loss-making. So we actually lost an average of 11% on each trade. And this is really because this one was in a hideous downturn. So how to avoid stocks like this? This one itself is a natural gas distributor, and natural gas is famously volatile, if you excuse the pun. So this really is a kind of leveraged play on the natural gas price. So definitely I would avoid anything like this. I haven't seen many stocks that are really bad like this one, so they are actually quite rare. So it's really important to screen out the bad stocks. I should just mention that my backtester doesn't do any screening of the stocks, so it just randomly buys absolutely anything in my database. And there's quite a bit of trash in my database. So not buying the losers is important. A big red flag is dividend cutters, patchy earnings, or stocks that are overly cyclical. Lots of energy stocks or raw materials stocks, the mining companies, for example, they can be a little bit risky with this. And also bubble stocks and kind of buying stories. I'll show you an example of this. So Rolls-Royce Holdings, this is a UK defence company, and as you can see, people started buying into the story that UK defence stocks were going to go well, and it went from like 100 all the way up to 11, so it's been a 10-bagger really. But this looks like a classic valuation bubble. As we've seen from other stocks, once the bubble starts popping, then you can get some really hideous losses. Here's an example of a real live trade that I did. So back at the end of February, this stock, this is Sage Group, a UK financial company. They put in a 50-day low, which is here. So my backtester picked up that it went down 20% from this 50-day low. So it did take a while, but it looks really like oversold here. So this would classify as a super oversold indicator here. So I bought this one and I made a profit the next day. I think it was because this mega candle here, price soared up, and I easily made about 6% on this one. So you always have to remember that even though a stock is in a downtrend, it doesn't go down in a straight line, apart from here really. It will almost always bounce back up and then go down again. So this is what we're doing as swing trading. So just to prove that this one actually happened, here's my results. I bought it on the 18th and it sold again on the 19th. So how do we scan for these super oversold stocks? So when a stock hits a 52-week low or a 50-day low or another oversold indicator, I have been setting alerts that are 20% below that price. So I've been using Trading 212 for this, and I believe you can have unlimited numbers of alerts, so it's really useful now. And a few of them have been hit. You can also follow my Substack. I'll post them there, and there's a link in the description. They also appear on btfdbot.com. This is only for US stocks. I don't have UK stocks on there. So you just need to go to btfdbot.com, and then there's this panel here with the recent buy signals. Obviously do your own research before you actually buy them. So we just had a super oversold for Booz Allen Hamilton. This one is so ridiculously oversold now. I'm pretty sure it will bounce, hopefully. I've got quite a large holding of this one, so I believe it will bounce. And I'll see if there's any others. Pool Corporation, I've been buying this one. Clorox, this one has been very oversold at the time of recording. So Pool Corporation does have a good record, so all the previous ones have worked, so no reason to think that this one won't bounce back up. And Clorox, this is a pretty good company, but they seem to have got into a mess, and as you can see, the previous ones have all bounced to varying degrees. I'm pretty sure that these will bounce as well. So Super Oversold is looking a really interesting strategy, particularly with high quality US stocks like the Dividend Kings and the Dividend Champions. I'll do a lot more research into this to see if I can fine tune it and get it working even more. So far I've placed 37 live money trades. It's not a very common indicator, so they don't appear that often, but they will appear a lot more often if there's a big pullback in the market itself. So I hope you found that interesting, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.